Tbull here. Today we're checking out the Tier 8 British battleship Temeraire. There's Nelson on the screen there. And here's the ship build. Now, I put all sorts of AA on this thing. We've got a nice 100 AA rating with this build as we load into our Sea of Fortune domination mode game. But, as we'll see in this game, accuracy can get a little wild with the configuration we got here. So, if I think about it, I'll probably switch either the slot 1 over to the aiming systems mod, or slot 4, or whatever the one that increases the range and decreases the dispersion by a bit. But anyway, that's kind of the scoop on the build there. Guns, 419 calibers, big booming shots. I think from my limited experience playing the ship that it's probably the short fuse British AP that we see in a lot of the battleships, which means generally we're going to be aiming for more reliable shots as opposed to knockout shots from citadels. Harder to get with these fuses. But overall, pretty good guns. I shoot AP in them. I did test a game with just against the AI, just using the HE. And I wasn't too impressed with the results, so I don't generally shoot much HE in most of my battleships, and this one is included as well. So we'll see the performance of the gun shooting AP here. I'll be honest with you, I unlocked this ship, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I'd kind of forgotten I even had it. I only got about 20,000 lead XP on it or whatever, after having upgraded it probably via green XP. So, I'm not massively in love with this. I think out of the battleships that are at Tier 8, I think I got all the tech tree ones now. I think the Minnesota and the Prince Rupert, or whatever the Prince is at Tier 8, the British battle cruiser, and even the Friedrich de Grobe are probably the three strongest ones in my opinion. So you guys let me know if you disagree with that in the comments. Which of the Tier 8 tech tree battleships are you digging the most? But early on in the game, this is going to be kind of a strategy game, and we're going to be looking at some positioning. And then late in the game, we're going to have a nice, juicy brawl, so you're going to want to stick around and see that. But early on, we want to note the battleship position. Now, a lot of times at the higher tiers, you're going to see the battleships clump up, kind of like the guys to the southeast are doing. Usually it's because they're playing will to rebuild, or they're scared, or a combination of both. But check out me and the battleship to the west. About a 2 square separation right now. We're going to see the effectiveness of that, not only for creating right angles and crossfire shots, which we will see plenty, but we're also going to see how we can use that positional difference to flush enemies out and ultimately get them off the board. So Rupert taking some shots from most of our team. He's moved into the center of the map quite early. And the Grober takes him down there. The Friedrich, nice shot. Weimar, now I'm looking on the map, he's backing up here, so I'm thinking, okay, he's potential to move forward. But more importantly, look at the enemy battleships. They're all clumped up. Speaking of clumps, they're all on the northeast side of the map there. And what this does is it kind of prevents the horizontal transit threat, which the battleships, or, there is no threat to the horizontal movement, I guess I should say, because of those battleships. I mean, if they're really paying attention, I might be in range here, they might get a shot, but generally it looks like they're kind of dueling to the south, or at least hiding behind the islands there. And I can move safely into A. The red team did get C quite early. I think the destroyer got in there, grabbed the cap, and you can see we're up a battleship. We're only up about 80 points at the moment, and that lead is shrinking. That's due to the base differential. So I want to get into A as quickly as possible, try and change that up. Weimar coming around here is trying to take some quick shots. We're trying to get the back guns on target there. Looked like he backed up just enough as we got the guns there, so we held the shot. But we will be looking for him. And here's what I want to point out to you. The battleship to the west there, again, he's roughly on the same island in terms of horizontal or vertical movement on the map there, but he's approaching that cruiser from his rear, the southwest. I'm approaching it from the front, the southeast, and one of us is going to get a shot sooner or later. And you can see he's been trying to back up there. The Friedrich spots him, and now he's like, oh, Christ, we got to get moving. So he's coming out here. I'm full speed ahead, right? The only threat we really got to the side is the Dmitri, that we know about at least. And, it can do some damage, certainly, but nothing catastrophic like a big battleship like a Yamato parked in the middle, for instance, might prevent me from moving this far forward with the right side of the ship pointing towards their spawn. So Taking a little bit of shots here, but again, getting some nice shots in the Weimar, who is flush. That's a dangerous ship, of course. Those British cruisers, you want to get them off the board, the light cruisers, if possible, because they can definitely rack up the damage if left alone. So one of the big, problems of clumping up is you're going to concede map control like this, and of course, red really doesn't have a lot of control over here. So now I'm looking at the game situation. We got to find a way to get into B, because of course red has the background scoring lead. Hoping the Weimar goes down, but we're not going to follow him up into Timbuktu. But here's the mines. Didn't even know he was back there. He was hiding behind the island, lobbing some shells, and we're probably going to deploy the first heal here soon. Note the heal, quite robust. All right, and there it goes. So light damage, which is primarily fire and flood damage, fully repairable, and you can do, you can bring back half your ship in one heal here. You get 4 of them on this build, which is nice. But, the thing about the flood, I think we're actually going to see it later in the game. You can heal that flood damage, but the floods do stick around a lot longer than fires, and they do more damage per second than fires. So even though you got a nice heal that can deal with floods, you're going to want to be careful about that, but we'll take a look at that later. Mines, again, he's kind of kiting off deep into the spawn. We're trying to shoo him off. We're primarily trying to get the base here. Doing a good job dodging, but what we don't want to do is have our whole team follow them up there. Now, the cruiser on our side is looking like he's trying to poke over to B. We also got I think it's a Helena to the south that's getting harassed by the carrier at the moment. Those are kind of the guys projecting power into B at the moment. I'm trying to back up here, and then we're going to try and turn and move either directly into B from the west, or maybe back into our spawn to the southeast, and then approach B from the south. Again, because a lot of the battleships on our team moving to the north, and we want to create space and crossfire shots with those guys. So nice booming shot on the Dmitry there for a moment, and weren't able to quite get him down here, but that's all right. We're backing up here, getting into position to begin moving into B, and that's what we're going to do. So the guy that followed us into, kind of assaulted with us jointly, he's moving deep into the base. Now, I thought the opening play was pretty decent, how we were working together. For the rest of the game, he's kind of way off into the distance, and I think it's a Friedrich, right? So those German battleships are going to do better the closer they get anyways, but late in the game, like, battleship players give you a lot of grief for hanging out in the back. I'll be honest with you, in the first few minutes of the game, especially at the higher tiers, if you want to hang back a little bit, that's not the end of the world, but you do need to be operating with an eye to move towards the center of the map as the game progresses, right? The battleships are really all about map control and zone control, and they have more control in their immediate surroundings, right? The closer you get to a battleship, the more danger you're in. It doesn't really matter what kind of ship you're in. They get more accurate, they get more dangerous, and really it's not a good experience for anyone to be by them. So be moving forward. I think we probably would have won this game if that guy is heading towards B right now. I'm trying to get this Dmitry off here. I'm also looking at the other options to the east there, and this actually might be a costly play here because we do get the guns back. They are loaded there. I'm not sure how long they were loaded prior to getting them back on target. Do hit him, almost kill him. He's got a fire. I'm hoping he goes down, but he doesn't quite go down. Now he'll, at this point forward, because we neglected to get a slightly better shot just due to the fact that we're checking other targets, he lives. Every time he fires the guns, any damage he gets, that's kind of on us. So you want to be taking these ships off the board whenever they're low health. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, man, these guys are fighting my team point blank range. If I can help them with that immediately, that would be a good play as well. But again, if the Dimitri's scoring any damage moving forward, that's kind of on me. So a little bit of a critique here, looking back at the game. But we're continuing with the game plan. We're trying to move to the south. They're gaining a lead here. Dmitry backs up. I got to assume torpedoes at this point in time, and he does get a shot there, and that's a fire. So I got a little bit of raw damage. I mean, that's not a huge, costly play. I'm more concerned about any damage he might have gotten on my team. Of course, we've noted the heal, and once that's back up, we can heal all this fire damage. So not a big cost there, of course. We're going to try and evade these torps expected to have come off the ship as soon as he kind of cleared the island there, so we're going to be turning here once we've gone south a little bit and begin angling. Trying to get some shots in the Republic there to help the team. We've tied it back up. They do have a destroyer, but he's not really actively capping bases, so at that point in time, you got to kind of assume he's a torpedo warrior. So we got to be on the lookout for that, but we'll be keeping an eye on the surroundings, looking for torps and seeing which battleship he's indeed after. From a scoring perspective, we got 3 battleships. They got 2 battleships. Each team is a carrier. They got a destroyer. So in terms of ship count, we're up 75 points, right? But you can see in the score, that's not the case. They're actually up 113 points, which means we got some work to do. Again, getting B early, we had that battleship contingent that kind of came all the way over to help us out. As you'll see the carrier on the map there, he's come all the way into our spawn. But had they managed to get B, I think we'd probably have a pretty substantial lead here. So it was nice having the firepower, but the time it took to get over there and the fact that me and the other guy were basically fighting a surrounded cruiser who was going to have a hard time dealing with us anyways, I think the better play in retrospect and frankly, at the time, it would have been apparent that would have been a better play anyways. So anyway, we're continuing on here. The guys to the north, broadside, taking vicious shots. Friedrich goes down. We're trying to do the same. The Republic here, and you can see it's pretty steeply angled on the map, but we do get one shatter, one over pen, 2 regular pens. Not the big vicious shot that I was hoping for. Wanted a 20, 30,000 type damage shot. Another vicious shot on the other Friedrich to the north there, and now we're in some trouble. So I'm thinking slam on the brakes. We got to get that guy off, especially since they're in will to rebuild mode distance, which is problematic, of course, but I've kind of decided to stop there too late. We're not going to get fully stopped by the time the guns are reloaded. Unfortunately, we got to assume our ship to the north is going to die, as he will. I'm thinking, all right, well, we can help. We're going to have to fight these guys to the death anyways, right? Now, the good thing is they're only at about 600 points, about 700 points when they kill that guy. But if we kill this carrier, that might help us out. Maybe it'll help our carrier stay alive. Who should really, he's in a difficult position because he's actually getting pushed by the enemy carrier, but he wants to keep me between him and the red ships, of course. So I like to make this play. It's kind of a wild card at this point in time. The destroyer, I think we saw some torps to the north. Here's what I'm talking about, though. We do get stuck with a flood. This was a pretty big error in terms of damage control, or a little bit of just being unlucky. I can't remember exactly why we damage conned a moment ago, but we're stuck with a flood. Now we've got a lot of health to begin with, and you can see on the map we're steeply angled to the 2 battleships to the north, so not all is lost here, but we could have used the AA booster. And when I was playing, I'm like, they only got 4 planes in that formation. Hopefully we can shoot them down. There's no reason to save the consumable at that point in time. That was just another pretty big error there. Which is going to... I'm more concerned about getting torped by this destroyer at this point in time. Again, we don't know exactly where he is. We're potentially going to take a shot from the north too, but again, we're doing a pretty good job angling, protecting ourselves via that mode. So, Shikaku coming towards us. We're going to take one more shot at him, see if we can blow him up here. I've been noticing some ricochets when we're hitting low. Aim up a little bit, don't see any ricochets there. Pretty good damage. Secondary's going off. We got the secondary mod employed. Now I'm thinking, okay, we got a guy to the north of us shooting at us. I think he's pretty low. Shikaku, I'm like, let's see if we can kill him with the secondaries number 1. It's an opportunity for a double. Come on now. We're not going to pass that up. But number 2, I actually think this is kind of the right play. Again, you guys can debate in the comments or let me know if you think this is a good play or a bad play. When we're relying on secondaries close range, you got to understand the computer's aim point. If we're playing AI and secondaries are controlled by the AI, it's a waterline shot, right? So whether we're in a battleship versus battleship fight, or in this case we're trying to sink the carrier, we're not going to get as much reliable raw damage from those secondaries as we might imagine, even though we're going to be hitting a lot of those shots, just because a lot of them are going to be striking low and encountering armor values. Do take a decent shot there. Again, we're thinking double, right? We're hoping the secondaries will kill the guy. There he goes. Republic coming around here. Angled, but low. Let's see if we can get him. And we actually do. And we do get the double there. I don't even think there's a base drop in this, a beat drop. So Little John definitely not involved with this production. But a double's a double. We'll take what we can get. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, we need a little bit more time. Because I think potentially I can kill this guy depending on what angle he comes around. And there's the destroyer, the Chung Mu. So, this is a game where if we had 5 more minutes, I think there's a decent chance we could win. We don't get sunk there. If we played it just right and the carrier helped us out, maybe we could sink them both, but alas, not meant to be. That's a look at the Temeraire for you. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.